Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome to the summary. Today we have started lesson 3 unit 6 English student book page number 84 and 85. This topic, as you know, that this whole unit is all about fables and myths and stories. So this lesson 3 is also about stories, telling an anecdote. Telling an anecdote is a funny story. So here are the first lesson objectives that we discussed with the class. These are the lesson objectives. Listening, speaking, writing, critical thinking, all about stories. Okay, we will listen to story, we will talk about the story, we will make notes and complete sentences about the story. And in language focus, we discussed past simple and past continuous and connectors when and as. So an anecdote, short, often funny story, especially about something someone has done. Camping, the activity of staying in a tent on holiday. Forest, a large area of land covered with trees and plants, usually larger than a foot, or the trees and plants themselves. So these are the three vocabulary words that I discussed during the lesson class so they can understand the lesson better. So after that I asked the opening question to the class. The opening question was, do you remember learning about the abominable snowman? Describe him. Can you remember his different names? So some of the students participated and they told me about, they described abominable snowman as they still remember the information they have discussed. We learned in first lesson. So they said that abominable snowman is a very giant, or you can say huge personality person that usually lived in woods, and it's a very mysterious personality. No one knows much about this abominable snowman, and also it has furry skin, hairy skin. It has fur on its body. Then also they have they told me about the different names like Bigfoot and Hatchie, Snowman. So all these are names. After that, we have discussed the prediction. I asked them to predict about these pictures. I asked them to look at the words and these pictures and predict what's going to happen in the story. So the students participated and they predicted excellent, very well. They said that a family is going for a picnic, for a camping tour. They set a camp in the woods. Then they have done some activities like fishing and mountain bikes and hiking. So during the hiking, they have seen something like a bear or an animal from a jungle in woods, forest. So they were very scared, but they couldn't recognize that animal. So because they just heard the voice. They couldn't see it. So after that, I play the track 34 to check the answers. The answers were right, so I'm going to play the track 34 again. So listen.
Track 34.
When I was 7, I went camping with my family. We drove from Florida to Georgia and went camping in the Blue Ridge Range in Georgia. There were lots of great things to do. We went hiking, fishing, and mountain biking. One day, I was walking in the mountains with my dad when we heard a strange noise in the trees. We thought it was an animal. Deer and black bears live in the Blue Ridge mountain range. We stopped to listen, but the noise stopped. But as we were walking again, we saw something behind a tree. We were very scared, and as we were looking for somewhere to hide, the creature ran off into the forest. I tried to get my camera, but it was too late. Was it just a bear? Or was it Bigfoot?
So that was the track, and after that we have discussed about activity for what other animals live in forest. So the students participated and told me about some of some forest creatures like monkeys and also snakes and rabbits and all that stuff, different animals. Then I asked them, what do you think the girls saw? So some of the students said it was just a bear. Someone said that it was a abominable snowman. But as you know that this is only just a prediction, so all the answers are correct for this discussion activity. Then we discussed the past simple and past continuous tense, and I am going to include a short tutorial video, so watch and listen.
Welcome to English Grammar Sport. This tutorial is about the past continuous. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to form a past continuous and when to use a past continuous. But before we get started, it's good to know how to conjugate the verb to be in its past tense. For the singular forms, I was, you were, he was, she was, it was. And for the plural forms, we were, you were, they were. It's also good to know that when I say a vowel, I mean an A, an E, an I, an O, or a U. The consonants are all the other letters in the alphabet. Now let's get started. Take a look at these sentences. I was talking on the phone and we were cooking dinner. Both these sentences are in the past continuous tense. How to form a past continuous? We use the past tense of the verb to be, so either was or were, the base form of the verb and ing. I was working late. You were talking too fast. He was watching television. She was walking to school. It was raining. And for the plural forms, we do the same. We were singing a song. You were doing your homework. They were looking for a hotel. Now we need to pay extra attention to verbs that end in an E, such as take, make, and close. These verbs drop their E. For example, I was taking the bus to school, he was making dinner, and they were closing the window. Please note that these verbs no longer have their E. We also need to pay attention to verbs that have one syllable, end in a consonant, and are preceded by a vowel, because they double this final consonant. These verbs are verbs such as sit, get, and run. Take a look at the examples. I was sitting outside. You were running fast. It was getting late. We were letting ourselves go. They were swimming in the river. Let's have a look at the past continuous in questions. Again, we use the past simple form of the verb to be, was or were, the base form of the verb and ing. Was I getting close? Were you running late? Was he taking a bus? Was she playing tennis? Was it snowing? And for the plural forms, we do the same. Were we going in the right direction? Were you arriving by ferry? Were they eating their lunch? Now let's have a look at the past continuous in negations. Again, we use the past simple form of the verb to be, so either was or were, but we add not to it, contracting it into wasn't or weren't, the base form of the verb, and ing. For example, I wasn't waiting for you. You weren't looking for me. He wasn't sleeping late. She wasn't talking on the phone. And it wasn't freezing. For the plural forms, we weren't putting up a tent. You weren't speaking at the same time. And they weren't cutting paper. Now let's have a look at when to use a past continuous. First, we use the past continuous for a temporary activity in the past. It started in the past and it was finished in the past. I was watching television at that moment. It was raining last night. They were swimming in the river yesterday. We want to emphasize that it was lasting for some time. We also use the past continuous for a temporary activity in the past, interrupted by a short action. This short action is usually expressed by the past simple. I was watching television when he called. It was raining when the car broke down.
So our today's lesson is about this specific use of past continuous, a temporary activity in the past, interrupted by a short action. Interrupted means disturbed, like you are doing something, okay, and someone disturbed your action, or something happened during that action. So we specifically talk about this situation happened in the past, like you were doing something and something another happened, and that thing disturbed your action. So for that condition we use past continuous for the temporary activity, and for interrupted action we use past simple, like I was watching television when he called. So that was the short action, continue action in the past, when the call interrupted that action. So when he called, he interrupted my action of watching TV. This is how we can use the past continuous to show a temporary activity in the past interrupted by a short action.
They were swimming when they saw a crocodile. We also use a past continuous for something that was planned before a certain time in the future. For example, I was flying to Dubai, but his meeting was cancelled. Weren't you meeting her at the airport yesterday? They were going to that concert, but her car broke down. I thank you for your attention. For regular updates,
So that was the track and explanation about past continuous. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.